Good afternoon and welcome to Parnell Park for a Dublin Senior Football Finals Day unlike any other. No spectators allowed, teams not allowed to use the dressing rooms, and players not allowed to warm up on the pitch until just 30 minutes before throw-in. But that's the current reality and we simply have to live with it. Later this afternoon at 4:30 you can watch the Senior 1 final between Ballymun and Ballyboden on TG Cahir. But ahead of that, here on Dubs TV, it's the meeting of those two great dual clubs. Cuala from the Dalkey area against St Brigids from the Blanchardstown Castleknock area in the 2020 Senior 2 Football Championship final. On paper, Cuala looked the stronger side, with Mick Fitzsimons, Padro Coffey Byrne and Con O'Callaghan, familiar inter-county names, as opposed perhaps to just Paddy Andrews for St Brigids. But thankfully, games are played on grass, not paper, and so St Brigids will go into this game buoyed up by their fine semi-final performance, and perhaps the sight of Cuala's final quarter fade-out in their semi-final victory over Templeogue Sing Street. So let's have a look at the two teams now. For Cuala, they will have in goals Philip Green, their full backline anchored in the middle by Michael Fitzsimons, 7 times All-Ireland winner, and either side of him David Sheeran and Dylan Tracy. The half-back line, Conor Mullally, Luke Tracy and Michael Conroy. In the centre of the field, well, Niall James was named there, but we suspect it to be a late change there and that Brian Smith will come in his place. But you'll see that only when the throw-in occurs. Padro Coffey Byrne, the other midfielder, the sizeable Padro Coffey Byrne. The half-forward line, James Power, Niall O'Callaghan and Dermot O'Flynn. Full forward line, Luke Keating, Con O'Callaghan and Cathal O'Gullan. And as this is a final, we'll give you a rundown on the subs as well. At 16 it's Ryan Scollard, 17 Brian Smith, who could well be in from the start, 18 Cal Dorn, 19 Kieran Gaffney, 20 Cormac Curtis, 21 Dara Toomey, 22 Owen Kennedy, 23 Owen O'Callaghan, 24 Jack Flynn, 25 Jack Lahert, 26 Jamie Keenan, 27 John Fitzsimons, 28 Liam McHugh, 29 Mark Tracy and 30 John Shannon. For St Brigids then, they have in goal Stephen Moore, their full back line, swapped around a little bit from the semi-final. In the right corner is Owen Devitt, full back is Sean Murray, and Jack O'Neill comes into the other corner, who played so well when he came on as a sub in the semi-final. The half back line, Donncha Ryan, Niall Davey and Faker O'Mara. Midfield it's Sean Egan and Cathal Doyle. The half forward line, Mark Donnelly, Paddy Andrews and Liam Campbell, and the full forward line, Paddy Lysett, Philly Ryan and Mark Cahill. And their subs, 16 Owen Lysett, 17 Stephen Donnelly, 18 Lurkin McCarthy, 19 Sean Clark, 20 Donald Timoney, 21 Mal Ty, 22 Gavin Kane, 23 Kevin Callaghan, 24 Colm Doyle, 25 Mick Courtney, 26 Matt Grogan, 27 Dara Doyle, 28 Jerry Troy and 29 Alan Daly. The management teams, well, for Cuala, Paul Curran is the manager, the former Dublin player. Their selectors are Jerry McGowan, who's a Sligo man, and Jerry Killian, who's from Roscommon. And for St Brigids, their manager is Kevin Bonner, another former Dublin player. Their selectors are Graham Norton, who's local, and Conor Moran, who is from Mayo. So a nice West of Ireland touch there in both those setups. Well, conditions are ideal for this game. I've rarely seen Parnell Park looking so immaculate. The sunshine, a little bit of a breeze. It's blowing actually from the church end down towards the Clontarf Golf Club end, but it's very, very slight, so it shouldn't be a major factor. The referee for this game, who's out there at the moment as the captains, I think it's Luke Tracy out there along with Philly Ryan. I think Philly Ryan indicated that he's going to play down towards the church end in this first half, but we'll wait and see if that's the case. The referee today is Sean McCarthy. His linesmen are Dan Steins and Kieran Kelly. And the all-important 4 umpires, Colin McCarthy, Paul Craven, Chris Parks and Kevin Moore. So that's his team ready for the off here in Parnell Park. As I said, these two teams, they have a lot of experience in Parnell Park over the last few weeks, never mind the last few years. And they couldn't ask for better conditions for a game like this today. In the warm-up, by the way, I should mention that Cuala were wearing training tops with the motto, support for Drummo, on them, and that's a reminder of clubmate Sean Drummond, who is still in hospital in London, I'm told, recovering from a serious accident. Nice touch that. And you might notice that as regards the colours today, well, Cuala will be wearing the blue and those red flashes, white shorts that they wore in last year's hurling final, the 2019 Senior A hurling final against St Brigids, and St Brigids will be wearing the same colours as they wore on that occasion, hoping for a better result though. They're wearing their all white strip with the red numbers and red trimmings. And the official announcement just welcoming the two teams here, because as I said, there's absolutely no spectators in the stands. Cuala break away from their huddle. St. Brigids do similar, and we pause for a moment's silence. So the scene is set. The Senior 2 Football Championship final. And as we suspected, it's going to be Brigids who will play from right to left in this first half. And the various fist pumps going on. And I do see that one change that we were suspecting might be made. Kevin Callahan wearing the mask at number 23 replaces Paddy Lysett, who was a doubt before this game because there was a fitness test for him just before the throw-in, which we'll assume he failed. And so Kevin Callahan, player who played at full forward actually in that 2019 Senior A hurling final, goes in at corner forward for St. Brigids. Sean McCarthy is ready to get the action going, and straight away it's Padro Cuffy Byrne breaking through the centre. There's nobody come to him much. In the end, Fikra O'Mara tries to get across there, a bit of a pull on him, but the referee says no, that's okay. Plays it into the corner to Luke Keating. Luke Keating back to Conor Mullally's gone very far forward for them early on. Conor Mullally is brought down, but the referee says he overheld that ball, and that's first victory, I suppose you'd say, for St. Brigids. But Conor Mullally literally in that full forward line, breaking from the half back line. And now St. Brigids can launch their first attack perhaps. Cathal Doyle up the centre to Paddy Andrews. They'd really like to get a settling early score, I'm sure. Donnacha Ryan's over on this side, but he decides not to use him. Eventually it comes all the way back to Sean Egan. Good ball up into the corner there to Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan looking into that full forward line. They've moved a lot of players around there. Philly Ryan just couldn't get a touch on that one. Good defending there from Cuala. Brian Smith, the man I mentioned there, who might come in and did come in for Niall James. That's what happened in the semi-final. Niall James making an appearance later on as a substitute. And Cathal O'Gillan now for Cuala. To the other corner forward, Luke Keating. Likes to get it onto his left foot. Sprays that one out towards Conor Callahan. Conor Callahan can't control it the first time, but does the second time. Out as far as Diarmuid O'Flynn. Diarmuid O'Flynn, one of the dual players in this team, one of the hurlers from last week, plays it back to Conor Callahan eventually. The pass from Luke Keating, and again, good defence there from St. Brigids. You can hear the great cheer from their subs on that far side of the field as they get possession of the ball. Sean Murray, man with a little bit of a ponytail. Sean Egan has his kick blocked there and eventually comes to James Power. James Power can't thread that ball through. It's all very frenetic just at the moment. Paddy Campbell had that ball, plays it wide to the rampaging cornerback. Jack O'Neill came on well in the semi-final, did well on that occasion, and starts today. I'm not too sure if we're ever having fireworks already. We've had a few of them on the pitch so far. Liam Campbell now with plenty of room to go for the score from just outside the D, hits that ball well, but it just drifts to the left and wide. So that's the first wide we've had in this game, and I'm sure Liam Campbell would be disappointed with that. He had plenty of time there. Referee holding things up. There's going to be something said to the linesman on the far side of the field, Sean McCarthy of St. Vincent's, going across. I'm not too sure if it was something to do with that minor explosion that we heard just there a moment ago, but the linesman has seen something, so Sean McCarthy is going to go all the way back down the field. Who it is he's going to talk to, I'm just not sure. He's looking for Jack O'Neill, I think, who was involved in that move far forward. And Jack O'Neill is going to be spoken to, perhaps the first recipient of a yellow card in this game, if the referee's decision is in that line. And Jack literally puts up his hands, and the referee does show him the yellow card, so that's a very early yellow card, literally 3.5 minutes into this game. No score as yet though. And Cuala now, plenty of room on this side of the field. Corner back, David Sheeran. That ball is going to be blocked. Mick Fitzsimons pushed out over the line. Well, I'm not sure if he got the touch on it or not. Michael Fitzsimons, who came very far forward at the start of their semi-final, as indeed did Luke Tracy, and he's pushed forward this time. Very often the case whereby a player coming back for St. Brigids gives him the luxury of moving forward. Fikra O'Mara had possession of that ball. The man they're looking for is Paddy Anders. Paddy Anders clashes there with Mick Fitzsimons, and Mick Fitzsimons comes out the better of the two. Was a physiotherapist but has now moved into medicine, Mick Fitzsimons. Cuala again. They're stretching that ball out to this side of the field. Niall O'Callaghan, one of 3 O'Callaghans in this panel, and Niall wins the free, which I'm fairly sure it'll be Luke Keating that will take. He takes nearly everything out on the left hand side, so he has the ball in his hands. Scored 7 points against Nave Olaf in the group stages of this year's championship. Decides not to go for the point this time. Gets the return pass though from Cathal O'Gillan. Cathal O'Gillan makes the little dummy run there. Luke Keating comes inside, gets the return pass from James Power. James Power has it back once again now. He's got Cathal O'Gillan beside him. He'll use him. But Brigids have a lot of players back. There's 2-on-2 with the man in front of that full back line for St. Brigids. So there's not an awful lot of space inside there. That's obviously the tactic to stop good ball getting inside to Con O'Callaghan. But really, what can you do there? The referee saw a little bit of a push. He gave the... I'm not too sure, was he giving the inside mark there or not? Or was it a push in the back and he gave... But Con O'Callaghan got it no matter how many men they put in front of him. And he has this one himself to go for the game's opening score. Strikes it right footed, strikes it well. Con O'Callaghan gets the game's opening score. Six minutes into this first half. Con O'Callaghan, the difficult player to stop. He has speed, balance, vision, and we've just seen accuracy as well. Slow build up out of defence for Brigids. Sean Egan out there wins it. Mark Cahill back helping out. Now centre back Niall Davey. Fikra O'Mara. It's slow, but they're waiting to see if they can probe an opening. Paddy Anders is waiting here for him. Paddy Anders just made the dart there at the right time. Con O'Callaghan goes back there, and Paddy Anders plays it up towards Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan tries to make the catch on that one, can't do so, but it's gone out over the sideline. A line ball for Cuala. Good defence there from Cuala once again. And as recently as last Sunday, Cuala had 2 teams playing here in Parnell Park. They lost the Senior B hurling final to Naomh Fionn-Barra, who had intermediate football success yesterday as well. But of course Cuala won the Senior A hurling championship, the all important one, beating Ballyboden with a late surge of scores, and a number of these players today were involved in that. I'm not too sure if there were too many celebrations during the week or not. Brian Smith, Padro Coffey Byrne got a little bit of a pull in the jersey there. James Power picks up the pass from him. Brian Smith is back there. Brian Smith thinking perhaps about that one. Inside as far as Luke Keating. Luke Keating turns with the left, and that's a good shot from Luke Keating, and it's gone over the crossbar. Well, that was a well worked move. It ended up in the corner with Luke Keating. Brian Smith was the man who threaded that ball through. Luke Keating got a little bit of space on Sean Murray, took a very good score. Brigids again trying to build, looking for their opening score of this game. Sean Egan. Bit of space. James Power stops him in his tracks. The referee says nothing wrong with that. It looked as if he was tackling around the midriff, but Brigids still holding on. They get away with it this time. Mark Cahill, he's playing back as the extra player in the middle of the field there for Brigids, or in the half back line as well at sometimes. Paddy Andrews now. Can he get the opening score? He's brought down. He'll be quite happy with that. When Paddy Andrews got that ball, 4 Cuala players converged on him. Paddy Andrews getting the pass there from Mark Donnelly. Haven't seen much of Mark Donnelly so far in this game, but he's a player that Cuala will undoubtedly be watching, especially from play. That's where he gets most of his scores. As Paddy Andrews steadies himself for this one. It'll be 20 metres out when he hits it. He strikes it right footed. He strikes it well. So Paddy Andrews gets Brigids off the mark with the point from the free. It really was an easy one in the end for him. Player of his competence, the Dublin star. So it's been a tentative game so far. Michael Conroy gets that pass out. The red-haired Michael Conroy, one of their hurlers as well. Brian Smith. Cathal Gillon. Conor Mullally. 2018 Electric Ireland Rising Star. Went off injured in the semi-final, but he's back today as Cathal Gillon, after all that, ends up with the ball, and then it comes back to Conor Mullally. Found himself up on that full forward line in the very first minute of the game. To Luke Tracy. Again, it's a slow build up. Brian Smith. The ball that they usually perhaps play through to Con O'Callaghan. It's been fairly well cut off just at the moment with that extra player in defence there. And that ball eventually finds Con O'Callaghan. What can you do? Con O'Callaghan turns, strikes it with his left. Beautiful score from Con O'Callaghan. Well, at one stage there were actually 3 St. Brigids players converging on him to try and stop him get possession. There were 4 there, in fact, in the end, before he got his shot. And that's a very good score for Con O'Callaghan. That's his 2nd point in this game. Goalkeeper Stephen Moore, I should say. Stephen was playing full forward last week for St. Brigids Junior A hurlers. He got away with that one there. In fact, he scored a goal last week, which was, unfortunate for him, disallowed. But he's back at the other end today. And the referee's going to give that one against St. Brigids, and they were calling for the foul the first time round, so they're under that little bit of pressure. Referee says go out to the sideline. That's where the infraction occurred. Ball touched on the ground. So Luke Keating now. Con O'Callaghan weaving one way, weaving the other. It's been marked at the moment by Donnacha Ryan. Back to Brian Smith. David Sheeran. Diarmuid O'Flynn. There's a smoothness to the way that Cuala are playing this game, and Diarmuid O'Flynn is through. He'll go for the shot and he'll take the score. Diarmuid O'Flynn literally cut a path there through the St. Brigids defence. I think they were watching perhaps for the pass inside to Con O'Callaghan, and that gave him the opportunity to go for the score as well. So this has been a good opening period for Cuala. They'll be quite happy with the way things have gone in this opening 12 minutes. Mark Cahill all the way back in his own full back line. Sean Egan, he takes it up. Donnacha Ryan's involved as well. Back to Niall Davey. Niall Davey plays the long ball as far as Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan was looking for the supporting runner there. There was nobody around, so he's going to have to dwell on that one and then go with it himself perhaps. Paddy Andrews hit by 2 tackles. He really is the man that they're watching there. Eventually it comes to Fiachra O'Mara. Fiachra O'Mara angling for the shot perhaps to Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan, he got the opening 2 scores of their semi-final against Naomh Marnock. Plays it into Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan thinking perhaps of the score, and in the end he plays it back outside to Mark Donnelly. Mark Donnelly snaps at that one. It hasn't gone out. Dylan Tracy there trying to get a hand onto that ball, and it's going to be a line ball on this occasion for Cuala. Well, there was a bit of danger there, but Mark Downey perhaps a little bit more assured normally than that. He snaps at that one a little bit, but again, this is a final and there's a lot of pressure on, and that's a good Cuala defence. David Sheeran, part of a full back line 5 years ago, with David Sheeran, Luke Tracy and Dylan Tracy playing in the second team for Cuala then in Division 5 of the league. Well, Cuala are getting in the tackles and Brigids are finding it difficult. The referee had his hand up there for he was playing advantage to St. Brigids. Sean Egan plays it on there as far as Niall Davey. Niall Davey's got Sean Egan with him. Sean Egan waits for it, plays it back to Niall Davey. Niall Davey up into the full forward line to Paddy Andrews. Paddy Andrews now from 20 metres out. He was thinking about the score the first time round. Will he go for it now? It's a difficult angle. It's right across, but in fact it's gone out to the right and wide. And again, the applause there from the Cuala contingent in the stand, that he put him under pressure, and it ends up in a second wide for St. Brigids. Michael Conroy now for Cuala over the halfway line into Brigids territory. He's keeping on with the run himself. They won't need him. That ball is through there towards Con O'Callaghan. Con O'Callaghan, the danger man. Con O'Callaghan clips it over the crossbar, and again, that was almost like collateral damage there for St. Brigids. They were concentrating on the ball further out. It broke in a way they weren't expecting it. Con O'Callaghan picked it up and gets his third point. An easy one for Con O'Callaghan from that kind of distance. Brigids need a score to get into this game as we're approaching the first water break. They are going for the short kick out. It can be very, very dangerous, but it worked that time for Donnacha Ryan. Owen Devitt playing it back into Mark Cahill. He's the link man. Mark Cahill, he's got players running, but he hasn't spotted anyone that he feels he wants to give that ball to. Niall Davey, nice ball in towards Kevin Callaghan. It comes off Kevin Callaghan though. Brian Smith was in good position there to pick it up. He didn't get to it though because Dermot O'Flynn was in there first. He got the snappy possession, and Kevin Callaghan trying to slow that up for Brian Smith, which he does in the end. Dylan Tracy now. Dylan Tracy, player across the line. Michael Fitzsimons. Michael Fitzsimons decides he'll go for a run. He's well tracked there though by Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan is continuing on with the marking. And that's a great battle between the two of them. Michael Fitzsimons just uses his strength perhaps to fend off the challenge, but there's 3 players there for St. Brigids, and the referee decides that there was a foul there on Michael Fitzsimons, so he's given the free in for Cuala. And really was a great battle between those two. They started that run way in the full back line, and Philly Ryan knew exactly what was happening. The St. Brigids captain. And expect this one to lob in, if not over. That one's just gone to the left and wide though. First wide for Cuala, and the referee decides that he's going to have the first water break. Well, a good first quarter for Cuala. Con O'Callaghan has been in good form for them so far, getting that opening point for them from a free. James Power, Brian Smith involved, and then into Luke Keating. Luke Keating turned very well for that difficult angle. Great score from him. And you could just see that the flow in the Cuala play was just beginning to establish some control as Paddy Andrews at the other end gets St. Brigids' only point so far from the free. And then once again, Con O'Callaghan, he makes it look so easy. Turns inside that time with his left foot, and then as Dermot O'Flynn literally cut a path through the St. Brigids defence. Might have thought about going for a goal there, decided to do the easy thing and the correct thing perhaps, take the point. And then just before the water break itself, that ball somewhat fortunately perhaps ran on through to Con O'Callaghan, and on the right hand side this time takes it with the right foot. So 5 points to 1 at this point in time. The water breaks are probably needed today because it's a warm day here in Parnell Park. It wasn't expected to be quite as warm as this, although as the colder weather comes in, I think these water breaks are going to be a little bit shorter. I was at a game the other night and the referee and the two teams agreed it was so cold they didn't have any water breaks. There was absolutely no need for water. So the game continued and nobody was in any way upset by it. But today, I'm sure Brigids weren't so much wanting to get on a little bit of water as a little bit of advice at the moment. I'm sure Kevin Bonner and his backroom team had a few things to say about them. They've been going for the short kick out, obviously to avoid the centre of the field where Pedro Cuffy Byrne, all 6 foot 6 inches off him, is waiting for the long kick outs. So Stephen Moore will get matters underway once again. Sean McCarthy. Sean Egan. Good pass inside to Cathal Doyle. Cathal Doyle now with a little bit of space for a change. Outside him he's got Liam Campbell. He waits for the support for Paddy Andrews. Paddy Andrews now plays it to Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan will think about the score. I don't think that's going to come back far enough. That one's going to stay outside that right hand upright. A third wide for Brigids. They do need a score, and you could see that Kevin Callahan probably sensed that. Well, we have an injury to Cathal O'Gillan, so that's why the referee blew up there. Both these teams won their semi-finals by just 2 points, but in very different ways, as it turned out. It was close throughout between St. Brigids and Naomh Marnogue. St. Brigids winning that one by 15 points to 13 in the end. But Cuala, however, in their semi-final, they led Templeogue Sing Street by 11 points at one stage, and then they made a number of changes in that last quarter that opened up things. Templeogue got a couple of penalties which they converted, and they reduced the margin to 1 point at one stage before Cuala ended up just getting the extra point to make it a little bit easier on them. They're perhaps thinking of something similar today. Con O'Callaghan once again, he's under enormous pressure there, but he wins it still ahead of Donnacha Ryan. Can't get the perfect pass to Cathal O'Gillan, but he plays it to Conor Mullally now. Conor Mullally, that's a great ball to Diarmuid O'Flynn. Diarmuid O'Flynn now coming forward. A moment ago he's been hit shoulder on shoulder. He does well to get it back to Pedro Cuffy Byrne. He plays it across in front of goals there. Under pressure, Niall O'Callaghan turning one way, turning the other way. Cathal O'Gillan, snapshot from him. And is that one good? That one is good as well. Good score for Cathal O'Gillan. Well, there was a lot of pressure coming on there from Cuala. Yeah, Niall O'Callaghan just mishandled that initially, but he saw the opportunity and he played it. And Cathal O'Gillan was on hand to take the score. Cuala have the line ball. Niall O'Callaghan seems to be moving more into that full forward line now. Bit of a nudge there perhaps on Con O'Callaghan. Niall O'Callaghan decides he's got plenty of space and plenty of time, but that one's gone to the left and wide. Niall O'Callaghan scored 1-4 in the semi-final, although his best outing was against Naomh Olaf when they totaled 224 when he scored a goal and 7 points at that. That I think was the very first championship match ever played, senior championship match ever played in Hyde Park and Dalkey. Brigids this year also had their very first championship match, senior championship match that they were involved in, played in Russell Park as well. So a historic year for both teams. Conor Mullally now. Plenty of space there for David Sheeran. Conor Mullally again. He's directing things a lot there. He has the ball for the third time in his hand. Luke Tracy. Diarmuid O'Flynn. He's had a good game, Diarmuid O'Flynn, so far. Put under a lot of pressure there. Good pressure from St. Brigids. Kevin Callahan. They were calling for that one as having been picked up, and in fact Mark Donnelly has it now. Mark Donnelly, is he thinking of the score? He does. He shoots with his right foot. He was curling in from the left, but that one's gone left. His shooting boots are just deserting him at this moment in time for Mark Donnelly. Normally so accurate from those kinds of situations. And one way or the other, this match will be decided today, unlike the Cavan County final, which I'm sure many of you might have enjoyed last night, when it finished up level, no extra time, no penalties. Well, today there'll be extra time and penalties. If this one finishes level at the end of normal time, at the end of extra time, we'll have penalties as well. Cuala. They're moving well. Conor Mullally. Sean Murray out there. And he's wearing the number 3 from that full back berth, but he's been moved out into the half back line now. Diarmuid O'Flynn, good pass across from Diarmuid O'Flynn to Luke Tracy. Luke Tracy now, bit of speed from Luke Tracy. Michael Conroy, Conor Mullally again. James Power, Diarmuid O'Flynn, Brian Smith. Brian Smith decides enough of this, he's going to try and break through, and Brian Smith goes for the shot. Brian Smith looks as if he might have curled that one in. That's a very good score from Brian Smith. He made that look so easy, but that was played right across from the far side of the field to Brian Smith, and he made no mistake from there. So Cuala at this stage now have opened up a 6-point lead, and Brigids, who averaged 15 points in their games so far, including that semi-final one, which was bang on average, they just can't get that ball into that full forward line to create the opportunities. And when they've had those, they've had 4 wides in fact. Sean Egan, Mark Cahill plays it wide to Liam Campbell. Liam Campbell now, he's got a little bit of space to move, plays it back outside. Fikra O'Mara, he scored from there in the semi-final. He just can't get the shot away this time though, and it comes back again. Niall Davey thought about the shot there, decides that he won't go for it, and that's the difficulty. Cuala are defending just so well. They've got so many players back. Cahill Doyle there tries to get that ball in, and it's flicked away there by Michael Fitzsimons for the 45. So another opportunity for Brigids to add to their 1 point so far. Interestingly enough, it's Cuala, as I said, they have 2 players forward, and one of those 2 players is Conor Mullally, and he's wearing the number 5. So they've switched their team around, I suppose, in response to Brigids in some ways, and Brigids just simply haven't been able to open up that defence so far. Paddy Andrews, scored 8 points against St Sylvester's in the quarter-final, and he really would love to land the second one here today. They need it at this stage. Strikes that one well. It's just gone outside the upright, and it's held well by Philip Green. So it's not working for Brigids just at the moment. James Power now for Cuala. Cuala in their blue with the red flashes, white shorts. You can see the red on their shorts as well because of the colour clash today. To Michael Fitzsimons once again. Michael Fitzsimons decides to go as far forward as he can into the full forward line again, but Niall O'Callaghan just can't get to that ball. Good defending that time from St Brigids. Cornerback Owen Devitt was involved in that as well. Sean Egan now looking up, seeing what can happen there. Niall Davey, he's got players both sides of him now. Paddy Andrews takes the challenge of Luke Tracy, gets away from the challenge of Luke Tracy. Sean Egan now tackled by Conor Mullally. Sean Egan under a lot of pressure. The tackling from Cuala has been absolutely ferocious. On this occasion it wins a free for St Brigids, but the tackling has been superb. Every single time a St Brigids player gets hold of that ball, he's under pressure. He hasn't the time to look up and pick out the pass, and that's the problem. Niall Davey this time now, he's trying to do something similar, and there's a wall of Cuala players in front of him. Kevin Callahan goes for the point this time. That one looks an awful lot better from Kevin Callahan. That's a lovely score. Kevin Callahan knew what he was doing there. He just wound himself up from the left corner. The moment he got possession of that ball, you could just see he knew exactly what he wanted to do with it, and it just stayed inside that left hand upright. A very important score for St Brigids, as we're about 5 minutes now from half time. 5 points the margin between them, and goalkeeper Philip Green, who caught that ball that was just drifting wide there from the Paddy Andrews 45. He might have got a knock as he was clearing that ball. Cuala were in fact amongst the 3 highest scoring winners in this competition this year. Their high was 2 goals and 24 points, as I mentioned. That was against Nave Olaf in the groups. Temple Sing Street, they scored 418. That's 30 points as well. That was against St Peregrine's. And St Sylvester's also scored 30 points, 5-15 against St Anne's. But oddly enough, Cuala were also the lowest scoring winners in the entire competition, scoring 1 goal and 7 points in their defeat of St Mary's Saggart. So they know how to win it if it's an open game or if it's a tight game. They've learned that so far. Philip Green recovered, and from the 20-metre line he'll take this kick out towards Padro Coffey Byrne. It goes over him and comes to Liam Campbell. Liam just checks as James Power how close he is, then plays it to Paddy Andrews, and Paddy Andrews decides, I'll go through the middle here now. But as soon as Paddy Andrews moves, there's at least 2 if not 3 Cuala players closing in on him, and they get that possession away, and Michael Conroy comes forward now for Cuala. Brian Smith, that one's a bit wayward there. Diarmuid O'Flynn will go back and get it, wearing 12 today. I think he wore 12 last Sunday as well in the hurling. Conor Mullally, Luke Tracy, Cathal Gillon, he's ready, waiting, gets the possession, and there's a man in the centre there. Once again it's James Power this time. James Power looking up and of course pumps it into that full forward line in towards Con O'Callaghan, and Con O'Callaghan calls the mark. And with the left foot, oh, he just pulled that one. That's a wide for Cuala, their 3rd wide in this game. We've had 4 for Brigids, but the all important scores that matter. 5-point margin between the sides. Referee deciding that there's a little bit of action that he needs to take note of. We had 1 yellow card early on. That was to Jack O'Neill. And it looks like we're going to have another 2. The players involved there, Brian Smith and Mark Cahill. But as you can see, the numbers don't mean an awful lot at this stage of the game. So many players in different positions from what you think they might have been selected in. That's a great catch out there in the centre of the field. That was Niall Davey that made the catch. Plays it in to Paddy Andrews. Is that good? That's a very important one for St Brigids. For the very first time you felt that there was an opening there for them to go through, and Paddy Andrews took full advantage of it, and he gets the score. That's his 2nd point of this afternoon. His first from play, and he reduces the margin to 4 points. So in a sense, Cuala, perhaps as they did in the semi-final, they've looked very good, they've played very well, they've created some great opportunities, but they're not quite maybe as far ahead as the way they're playing might have allowed them to be. The snapshot in the end there though from Cathal Gillon. He supports so well. The corner forward comes back and then he motors through at speed. That was a very good score, and perhaps just what Cuala needed before half time. Quick kick out there once again. Niall Davey reacts well. It's a dangerous tactic perhaps, but as long as everyone is on the same hymn sheet. The referee saw there that Mark Cahill was being fouled. Bit of a delay for Mark Cahill. I think the referee is going to hold up proceedings until Mark Cahill there is the player who's receiving some attention. Familiar of course as Cuala are with Parnell Park at the moment, and Brigids are here for the 3rd week in a row as well. They were in the semi-final of this competition 2 weeks ago. Last week they won the Junior A hurling final, beating Lucan in a thrilling end to that game as well. And here they are again today. They've got to up their game though at this stage. Sean Egan, a long striding Padro Coffey Byrne is after him. Liam Campbell trying to get away from James Power. There's a boot gone there as well. Donnacha Ryan actually goes and gets the ball back after his pass. Went astray somewhat. Fikra O'Mara. Just that ball inside. The high challenge there on Jack O'Neill. And the referee says that James Power was tackling too high on that occasion, so it's going to be a free in for St. Brigids, which Paddy Andrews will take. Now if he can be successful here, it would be a double scores game as we approach half time. Every kick's an important one for St. Brigids at this stage of the game. They just have to keep in touch. That's going to come inside that upright. That is a good kick from Paddy Andrews. So his third for the afternoon. And the referee, Sean McCarthy, blows for half time. Well, it's been an interesting first half, dominated in large part by Cuala, but really they perhaps didn't take as many of those opportunities as they should. It is double scores at this stage. That means that there's 4 points between these two teams, and Cuala heading off down to the left hand side. But in that second quarter, well, it started there with Niall O'Callaghan taking that ball back outside to Cathal O'Gillan, who has played very well, as he always does, and he took the score. He knew exactly what he had to do from that position. Diarmuid O'Flynn played it outside to Brian Smith. And Brian Smith did very well here because he realised that he had to take on the defence, and he curled it beautifully in towards that left hand upright. Great score from Brian Smith. While at the other end, Niall Davey pushing forward, playing it out to Kevin Callaghan, and Kevin Callaghan hit it high and mighty. Great score from him. All the time just keeping St. Brigids in touch. And then Paddy Andrews way out on the right hand side, looking up, backed himself from 20 metres out, took a fine score that. And Paddy Andrews has been keeping things ticking over from points from the placed balls. Has been just about keeping Brigids in touch, as he did there with the last score of that first half. Again, hit it very high, but it stayed inside that right hand upright. So it's a game that's still wide open, and there's only 4 points between them, despite the fact that Cuala have been the dominant team in that first half. There's no second chances though in the final, so I expect a full-blooded second half effort from both teams, and we'll be back with all that action shortly. But we leave you for now with a reminder of the half-time scoreline in the Senior 2 Football Championship final. It's Cuala 8 points, St. Brigids 4 points. Welcome back to Parnell Park for second half coverage of the 2020 Dublin Senior 2 Football Championship final. The all red and white clash of Cuala and St. Brigids. Well, it should be all red and white in terms of jersey colours, but the all white strip has been worn today by St. Brigids because of the colour clash with flashings of red, and Cuala are wearing the blue jersey with the red flashings and red and white shorts. Half time here at Parnell Park. Cuala led by double scores. Cuala 8 points, St. Brigids 4 points. In that first half, St. Brigids had just 2 scorers. Paddy Andrews scored 3 points for them and 1 for Kevin Callahan, whereas for Cuala they had 5 scorers. Con O'Callaghan scoring 3 points, Cathal Gillan 2 points, and a point each for Brian Smith, Diarmuid O'Flynn and Luke Keating. Well, Cuala are just sprinting back out onto the pitch. They actually went in behind the stand. Now it's a fairly sunny day here. It's not all that terribly warm out of the sun, so perhaps they felt that they just needed to get that little bit of a break away from the sun. Went in behind the stand and now have come rushing back out, and Sean McCarthy of St. Vincent's, the referee, is ready to get us underway for this second half. 30 minutes to decide who will be the Senior 2 champions for 2020. Niall Davey there is in the centre of the field alongside Padro Coffey Byrne. Bit of an unequal contest that. And Kevin Callahan with Brian Smith in the far side. Kevin Callahan, I think they're suggesting that he was being fouled, and then Brian Smith holds out his hands, but it was Padro Coffey Byrne who got the ball. Cathal Gillan, 2 first half points to Brian Smith. Brian Smith, little flick out there as far as Conor Mullally. Conor Mullally sees the player on the run, decides not to use him. Cathal Griffon is inside. Gillan plays it James Power. James Power, supported by Conor Mullally. He's got Michael Conroy hugging the near sideline. Doesn't decide to use him. David Sheeran is the player that he does use. Brigids really want to get their hands on this ball early in the second half to get a few scores. David Sheeran again. James Power will get that ball from him. James Power. Comes all the way across now to the centre of the field to Diarmuid O'Flynn. Cathal Gillan. The pass was on there for Con O'Callaghan. Con called for it, delayed. Donegal tries to stop his run. Diarmuid O'Flynn has that ball now inside. He's got Con O'Callaghan behind him there. Diarmuid O'Flynn goes for the shot. Oh, that comes crashing back off the crossbar. Everybody was appealing for him, having had too many steps, and in the end it's Niall O'Callaghan who gets in the shot for Cuala. Well, that looked a certain goal. Well, as all the players after the pass inside, Conor Mullally played it in there as far as Diarmuid O'Flynn. He just kept going and going and going. There were so many calls there for steps, but in fact I think he actually juggled the ball in the middle of all of that, so perhaps he technically lost possession of it. David Sheeran now for Cuala. So that's the first wide of the second half, with Cuala starting as they finished, and Niall O'Callaghan this time bundled over by Owen Devitt. So it's going to be a free in for Cuala. The 4-point margin at half time. This is an important phase now for both teams, but Brigids really wanted to come out and get some momentum going, and Cuala, to their credit, have stopped that. They've pushed forward, they've kept the pace up, and Con O'Callaghan looking for his 4th point of the afternoon. Shouldn't be a difficult one for him. He just strikes it inside the upright. Looked for a moment as if it might be drifting, but it didn't in the end. So Con O'Callaghan's point increases the margin now to 5. It was safe enough in the end as it went over the crossbar. So Brigids now again from defence. Cathal Doyle outside to his midfield partner Sean Egan, although neither of them started the second half on the halfway line. Mark Donnelly, he'll want to get into this game. Fikra O'Mara. Fikra O'Mara looks up. Will he think of the shot himself? He might. Donegal Ryan. Donegal Ryan is in a bit of space there to Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan goes for the shot. That one looks good from Philly Ryan. That's an excellent score from Philly Ryan. Well, the captain plays the captain's part. He's got to get his side moving. It was a good move there. Fikra O'Mara ran well, played that ball outside as far as Donnacha Ryan, the other wing half back, and Philly Ryan just got the all-important score. They've got to keep in touch at this stage. Philip Green looking around. Bit of a call there from Brian Smith. He doesn't aim it to Brian Smith though. He got down the centre there, all the way down the centre to Con O'Callaghan. Well, Con O'Callaghan had a huge gap in front of him there, and that's why Philip Green was able to use that. And then that long ball inside as far as brother Niall O'Callaghan, and he makes the mark. That really was good football. Niall O'Callaghan, oh, that's drifting. That's not going to go over. It looked as if it was. It started out well, but it drifted. That would have been a great score, straight from the goalkeeper to Con O'Callaghan. Con O'Callaghan into Niall, and Niall making the mark there. If he'd ended that all with a point, that would have been a superb score. Close, but not close enough. Quick kick there. The call was there from Cathal Doyle, but Stephen Moore said safety first. He decides to go long once again. At least they have a battle in the centre of the field, and it's further away from goal if anything breaks down. Fikra O'Mara now getting much more into the game. Sean Egan, he should get that ball along the ground there as far as Donnacha Ryan. He does. Donnacha Ryan holding it up. Paddy Anders looking for it, calling for it now. Luke Tracy in front of him. Mal ties into the game for St. Brigids. He's wearing the number 21. Back to Kevin Callaghan. Kevin Callaghan sprays that ball back across the centre of the field to Sean Egan. Sean Egan getting lots of shouts there. Mark Donnelly. There's a bit of movement. And in the end, Cathal Doyle opens his shoulders and goes for that one, but it's only coming as far as Philip Green. Philip Green, though, will be under a little bit of pressure there. It's very close to that end line. He does well to get away from the marker there and plays it out to Luke Tracy. And Luke Tracy sees Cathal O'Gillan. Cathal O'Gillan looking for the ball there to Con O'Callaghan. Con O'Callaghan now has it. Donnacha Ryan sticking as close to him as he possibly can. Good defence there as Donnacha Ryan goes back and wins that one. Con O'Callaghan's there with him, but the referee spots the foul, gives the free out for St. Brigids. Now Cathal Doyle, a little bit of room to manoeuvre. Has he got anyone inside him though? Decides he'll have to go long, and he's spotted Paddy Anders. Paddy Anders won't just get to that ball because David Sheeran will get back there ahead of him and plays it to Philip Green, the goalkeeper, who we might see coming upfield to take a 45 if Cuala win any. Brian Smith, the run on inside. James Power, good pass inside. James Power in turn there to Michael Fitzsimons. This is a good move. Michael Fitzsimons to Con O'Callaghan. Michael Fitzsimons continues his run. He's got two St. Brigids players around him, but he's strong. He gets away from the two of them, and then in the end that ball is won back by Cathal Doyle. He shielded that ball very well, Cathal Doyle. This game has picked up a lot of pace in this second half. They really got to go for it now. Liam Campbell, the pass outside to Mark Donnelly. Mark Donnelly, he's got Liam Campbell alongside him. Maltai is inside him now as well. He plays it to Maltai. Maltai looks for the score from there. Maltai should take the score from there, and he does. His first touch in this game. Maltai gets the point for St. Brigids, and St. Brigids, little by little, getting back into the game. It was a good inside ball, and the new player, as so often happens, in that little bit of space. 3 points the margin between the sides. Philip Green. Mark is made, held, and Paddy Anders is inside, but he won't get to that ball. Too much pace on it. Oh, he will. I spoke too soon. He just couldn't get control of it for himself though, but he did extremely well to get to that ball. Brian Smith now on the far side of the field. Both teams having a bit of a lash at this stage. Michael Conroy, plenty of space, plenty of room. The man inside him is Luke Keating. Luke Keating, oh, great ball across field to Conor Mullally. Conor Mullally surely he'll go for the shot from there. He won't have to go for the shot though. He plays it in to the edge of the parallel. Niall O'Callaghan, and Niall O'Callaghan has his shot blocked. Now the Cuala players are claiming it was a foot block, but it was good defending there in the end. It looked as if it was a certain goal there. Conor Mullally, the quick change of pass out as far as Niall O'Callaghan, and the ball blocked out, and as predicted about 60 seconds ago I think it was, Philip Green comes up to take the 45 all the way up from goals, which in fact will give St. Brigids a little bit of a breather. I'm sure the difference between having no spectators here and the usual crowds we would have is that you can hear the players urging each other on, or being critical of each other, or calling for the ball. You can hear all of those that you normally wouldn't. But Philip Green now, can he take this one? He drives it in. It looks as if it's just going left and wide, and it is left and wide. That's 3 second half wide points, or 3 second half wides we've had for Cuala. I mentioned the fact that St. Brigids had scored 15 points on average. Well, Cuala had scored 19 on average, but both of them are low scoring in perfect conditions here. Groundsman Noel Brady can be very content with the way he has this pitch. It's in immaculate shape. James Power plays that ball into the full forward line. Luke Keating back to Conor Mullally. Conor Mullally with the goal chance perhaps. Conor Mullally goes for the ball and he shoots it. Oh, and Con O'Callaghan sends it off the woodwork, and the referee is indicating that it's going to be a free in. He's not giving the penalty because the arms aren't spread, but it's a free in for Cuala. The Cuala defence gave away 2 penalties in the second half in their semi-final. They almost won one there. In fact, it could have been 3 penalties in that second half. But Luke Keating now hasn't had too many opportunities today. But this is as easy as you can possibly get. "13 metres out. It would be extraordinary if he didn't tap it over, and he does tap it over. So Luke Keating gets an all-important point there too for Cuala, because they just had been under a little bit of pressure. And they've opened up the margin to 4 points again. The pressure's on there from Niall O'Callaghan. He did well. David Sheeran up on that full forward line. Cathal O'Gillan. Conor Mullally's there once again. He'll get possession of this ball eventually. Brigids, it's a high risk kick out that they employ, and they almost got caught. This is good play. Con O'Callaghan. This is superb play. Con O'Callaghan going for the goal, and that perhaps not a foot block, says the referee. He's given the 45 for the second time in quick succession. The Cuala players appealing to the referee, Sean McCarthy, for the free on that one, and perhaps for a penalty on the earlier one, but neither has gone their way, and so it's going to be another 45 and another opportunity for Philip Green. So the game has gone into a little bit of a valley period at the moment after that good phase there for St. Brigids with those couple of scores from Philly Ryan and Maltai. They've been put under pressure once again, exactly what Cuala needed to do. Liam Campbell on the run there across to pick up Diarmuid O'Flynn. Now, this is his second effort. This one looks a little bit better. It's gone to the right this time though. So Cuala have had the opportunities, but again it comes down to this kick out. Stephen Moore, will he just go long this time? He might just go long because it's dangerous otherwise. He decides he'll aim it out to that far side of the field, and the ball will break to St. Brigids. Cathal Doyle. Oh, that's a long ball through there. That's a terrific score, is it, for Paddy Andrews? Well, that's perhaps the most direct play we've seen from St. Brigids so far. The kick out from Stephen Moore, picked up by Cathal Doyle. The fisted ball inside there, when it came, was to Paddy Andrews, and Paddy Andrews in that full forward line clipped that one over the crossbar. So Paddy Andrews, 4th point of this afternoon. An all-important one, and Sean Egan has it now once again. Is there a comeback for St. Brigids? Sean Egan keeping going. Will he take the score himself? He'll go for it, and he will take the score. A good score from Sean Egan there. The midfielder just kept going and going and going. That was a good catch. He could have claimed the mark there in the centre of the field, but he saw what was opening up in front of him, and he just kept going and going, and from 20 metres out took a very good score. This game is open once again. Just 2 points between the sides now. in this second half. St. Brigids have outscored Cuala by 4 points to 2. Now, Padro Coffeyburn beaten there by Kevin Callan. He's a big player as well. And that ball into the full forward. Philly Ryan might just get a touch on this one. He goes for it, he tries to chip that ball across. Oh, that's just unlucky for Philly Ryan. He did exactly what he should have done. He saw the advancing Philip Green. The long ball inside from Kevin Callahan. And Philly Ryan, he just saw what was there, what was possible. And he just couldn't direct it on target. St. Brigids not out of this game by any means. 2 points the difference between them. Philip Green drives it long. Con O'Callaghan's looking for that ball, but the mark is called there by Kevin Callahan. Oh, that wasn't an easy one there, and it's perhaps going to be too far for Cathal Doyle. Oh, that was one which was one that St. Brigids really did need after the good catch. Conor Mullally now in that full forward line for Cuala. Luke Keating's there supporting him, so too is James Power. James Power now got a little bit of movement there. Back to Conor Mullally. Conor Mullally, will he go for the goal? He thought about it, and I don't know how it was blocked there. He was off balance when he took that, and in the end, it was all very nervy there for St. Brigids in defence, but they get away with it. Owen Devitt carries it upfield. Luke Keating tries to get hold of that ball. The challenges are real championship challenges now in this game. Liam Campbell very close to the far sideline, keeps it in. Jack O'Neill literally has to fight his way out of that tackle, and he gets the free. And this is real championship football now. Maltai makes the short run, doesn't get it. Niall Davey makes the run, he gets it. That was a good run. Paddy Andrews now using his strength. Michael Conroy will make the tackle. Paddy Andrews comes infield. He's thinking about going for the score, I think. He plays it as far as Mark Donnelly. Mark Donnelly would be thinking about a score from himself there. This is Mark Donnelly territory. Oh, he just overheld that ball. Paddy Andrews now, once again, he'll burst through. He has the space. He's 13 metres out. He curls that one in off the upright. Philly Ryan will just go chasing for it, but it's gone wide. Oh, St. Brigids really are putting on the pressure. And the referee now is going to have a word with some of the players. No, in fact he's not. He's going to call for the water break. So a third quarter that has really put this game into the melting pot. St. Brigids outscoring Cuala by 4 points to 2 after Cuala looking very, very good. Conor Mullally coming forward, playing that ball inside to Diarmuid O'Flynn, and Diarmuid O'Flynn going forward there. Well, he looked as if he was going to get the goal there. Came crashing back off the crossbar. And then Con O'Callaghan steadied all the nerves with another score. But Brigids, to their credit, they've kept working hard. Fiacre O'Mara did well this time, played that ball far outside to Donnacha Ryan. Donnacha Ryan plays it back to Philly Ryan, and Philly Ryan took a great score. That's exactly what you should do in those kind of running angles. And then once again, Mark Donnelly this time putting through Maltai, and Maltai with his first touch getting the point for St. Brigids. And at that stage there was just 2 points between them, but at the other end, Luke Keating did a lovely ball across there to Conor Mullally, and Conor Mullally playing that ball inside to the pressure coming on there as far as Niall O'Callaghan. Niall O'Callaghan just couldn't squeeze it in, but in the end though, another James Power cross into the centre there. Luke Keating, Conor Mullally, and Conor Mullally falling made the effort to try and get that one, rather like Tommy Dowd in the All-Ireland final. But Luke Keating though got the point. That settled Cuala somewhat, but St. Brigids weren't finished, even though there was that opportunity for Con O'Callaghan. Was that a foot block? I don't think so. The player came across him, but I don't think the boot was raised. And then at the other end, St. Brigids working very, very hard. Cathal Doyle, great through ball to Paddy Andrews. Paddy Andrews doing well to get the score. But St. Brigids certainly moving far faster. A lot of slick play from them, and then that great catch from Sean Egan. Oh, that was superb. And then suddenly to see everything open up in front of him, like the Red Sea or the Dead Sea, and clipped it over the crossbar. So St. Brigids very much still in this game. We're about to resume after our second water break. And that little bit of a breeze that's here today, it's not much, but it's favouring St. Brigids in this second half. I see John Shannon has come on to the Cuala team. Kevin Callahan wins the mark there without any difficulty, and completely free is Niall Davey. Michael Fitzsimons comes out to meet him. Niall Davey trying to get past Michael Fitzsimons. He plays it to Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan goes for the shot, and that's just gone right and wide. Oh, he'll be disappointed with that one. But definitely St. Brigids putting on the pressure. In the final 18 minutes against Templeogue Sing Street in the semi-final, Cuala only scored 1 point, but of course they'd made a lot of changes by that stage, and they'd taken off Con O'Callaghan, resting him for the hurling final. So their team had changed a lot. This ball is very close to the near sideline. John Shannon keeps it in there as far as Michael Fitzsimons. Michael Fitzsimons tackled there by Sean Egan. Gets that ball only as far as Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan has had a big influence in this game. Mark Cahill. They're calling for them to move that ball as fast as they can onto the far side of the field to Maltai. Maltai slips, tries to get hold of it the second time round, touches it on the ground. That was just unfortunate. And the referee says, bring the ball forward. He didn't release it quickly enough. Well, that would have been a great opportunity for St. Brigids. John Shannon, another one of the hurlers in this Cuala panel, has the ball back in his possession now. James Power holding back on the halfway line there. He's got support on this side of the field if he wants to use it from Dylan Tracy. He decides not to use it, decides to go himself. He sees a little bit of a path through that Brigids defence. Then he sees Con O'Callaghan. It's very hard to stop that man. Conor Mullally again. Conor Mullally to Niall O'Callaghan. Niall O'Callaghan playing further forward today perhaps than normal. Conor Mullally, he'll go for the score. Conor Mullally strikes that very, very well. That's a great score. Well, really, he worked so hard. He was involved in that move a number of times before he got it in the end to go for the score. And when Niall O'Callaghan spotted him inside once again, broke the tackle and took a really, really good score to open up that 3-point gap once again. And I see that Cuala going to make another change. Cal Dorn is the player who's come in. So 3 points between the sides into the final 10 minutes of this game. Kevin Callahan chasing on for that ball. The foul there on Mark Donnelly. And it's taken quickly. Paddy Andrews trying to get away from Luke Tracy. Paddy Andrews coming in field, clips it with his right. Good score from Paddy Andrews. You could see all the time what he was trying to do there, and Paddy Andrews eventually getting his 5th point of the day to keep St. Brigids within touch. A goal on either end will certainly be decisive in this game as we move into these final minutes. Philip Green. And that's tailor-made for Padro Coffey Byrne, and that's exactly where it lands. Made his debut for Dublin in the Super 8 competition, the championship last year. A ball inside there. Oh, for a second Cal Dorn had it, and the referee spotted the foul on him. So the substitute has an instant impact for Cuala. So Paddy Andrews at one end. Now Con O'Callaghan gets the opportunity at the other end. And you'd have to say that it's likely to be the same effect. No problems for Con O'Callaghan. Brigids just having difficulty in getting that a little bit closer, as Con O'Callaghan does what he does so well. Makes it look easy. Stephen Moore. That ball caught well on the far side of the field. I think it was Faker O'Mara who was out there, lost his boot for a moment too. Sean Egan. Maltai. Plenty of calls from all around the field. Maltai said, no, I'm not going to give any of you the ball. I'm going to go for it myself. Then he plays it away up into the corner there. There's a chase on for Paddy Andrews. He didn't make it easy for Paddy Andrews, but Paddy Andrews does well against Michael Fitzsimons to get it out there. Plays it back out to Mark Donnelly. Mark Donnelly says, play it infield there to Kevin Callahan. Kevin Callahan goes for another one of those high and mighty scores, but this one is drifting away off to the right hand side and wide. Still anyone's game in this second half. You feel there's a goal somewhere in this game. Michael Conroy will get that. Quick kick out there from Philip Green. Nobody marking Michael Conroy. Into Conor Mullally. Conor Mullally really has played well in that forward role in this game. As far as Cathal O'Gillan, Niall O'Callaghan doing well this time. This is a very good move. If Niall O'Callaghan can finish it with a score, that's a brilliant score from Niall O'Callaghan. Brilliant because of the fact that it was so well created. And it certainly wasn't unlucky 13 for Niall O'Callaghan. That was really perhaps the score of the match so far. The difficulty of where he took it from himself, and of course, as I said, the creation of that score before that. Brigids now 4 points adrift. They've got to really do something. Niall Davey, can he get these players moving? Owen Devitt, they know they've got to go forward. Kevin Callahan will get this ball. He did well. Donald Timoney has come into the action too for St. Brigids. Donncha Ryan, he gets past one, can't get past the other. Plays Paddy Andrews. Paddy Andrews comes under an awful lot of pressure the minute he gets hold of that ball, and he's brought down. And I think the referee, as I'm sure you could hear perhaps some calls there for the black card. Now he did bring him down, but I'm not too sure if he pulled him down, and there's a big difference between those two. I think the referee is going to just give a yellow. It is a yellow. Donncha Ryan there playing it to Paddy Andrews. And Paddy Andrews brought down by Dylan Tracy. Philly Ryan will take this one. I mean, you couldn't have a more difficult angle or distance. He hits it very, very well though. It's just not going to come in enough. So the referee now has stopped things and having a word there, I think. Is it Michael Fitzsimons he's having a word with? Yes, and a little tap there from Sean McCarthy. The St. Vincent's referee has given a few yellow cards today, but nothing terribly serious in this game. Philip Green. 4 points the difference between the sides. There's not going to be a clean catch on that one. Con O'Callaghan going for it there. Donncha Ryan going for it. Mal Tai went in there hard. It came off the St. Brigids player. It's going to be a line ball for Cuala. Conor Mullally once again. Conor Mullally thinks he might even get this ball as far as Niall O'Callaghan. Niall O'Callaghan had it for a second and then lost it. He's fought hard to get it back once again, and he has it up in his hands. He did well there. Owen Devitt tackling hard. Plays it across in front of the goals there too. Luke Keating. I don't think he was even expecting to get that ball. I'm not too sure where it came from. Conor Mullally has it. A lot of mistakes being made in there, but also a lot of hard work. Padro Coffey-Byrne, thinking about the score, decides that he won't take it, and it just goes outside that upright. Or does it? No, it doesn't. Cathal O'Gillan manages to steer it in that outside that upright. Well, that really was some hard work in there. Padro Coffey-Byrne, Cathal O'Gillan in the end, but before that there was a tremendous amount of hard work being done. And Cuala seem to have ridden out the storm now at this stage. They've gone into a 5-point lead, and unless St. Brigids perhaps can create a goal opportunity in the next few minutes. Dylan Tracy coming off on this side of the field. I think that's a precaution because he just picked up the yellow card. He's replaced by Owen O'Callaghan, the third of the O'Callaghan brothers. And the referee has everything under control now. He's just checking everyone. The changes have been made. So Stephen Moore gets the go-ahead. Kick kick this ball out for St. Brigids. They really need a score. They're going to have to get 2 scores to save this game. Niall Davey couldn't hold on to that ball. Niall O'Callaghan has come out more from that full forward line, has been working hard in the last few minutes to Cal Dorn. Cal Dorn has it inside to Niall O'Callaghan. He's got John Shannon with him. John Shannon was thinking perhaps of going to Owen O'Callaghan, decides against it, then plays it to David Sheeran. David Sheeran to Cathal O'Gillan. Cathal O'Gillan has Owen O'Callaghan running outside him. Will he use him? No, he won't have to use him. He plays Dermot O'Flynn. Dermot O'Flynn slows things up now to Luke Tracy. Luke Tracy back into the centre of the field to John Shannon. And you can just see they're trying to take the pace off this game. Michael Conroy, that little ball, that little dropping ball inside there. It's a mark inside because it was over 20 metres the pass and it was inside the 45. Padro Cuffy-Byrne has it now, going forward, looking to get the shot away. He's tackled very, very high. The referee says no free yet to Niall O'Callaghan. Niall O'Callaghan's shot is blocked there by Fikr O'Mara and it's gone out for the 45. So I wonder will we see once again the run is on from Philip Green perhaps, but there was good pressure there. Padro Cuffy-Byrne, perhaps the future of midfield for Dublin seniors. Niall O'Callaghan, and that one was again just clipped away there from Fikr O'Mara, got a good hand onto it. So Philip Green comes all the way up. He's had 2 previous attempts unsuccessful, but time running out now for St. Brigids. I think this would be the nail in the coffin if he can land this one. Strikes it fairly well and it's gone left and wide, so no luck with the 45s today for Philip Green. And really Brigids need to get this one moving very, very quickly. That high risk strategy they had of the short one, they're not going to employ it again at this point in time, so they're going to go long. They fight hard for it and they have it. Jack O'Neill to Sean Egan. Sean Egan's going to do well to hold that ball and keep it in. He's got the support that he needs from Fikr O'Mara though. Back to Sean Egan. Sean Egan through the centre to midfield partner Cathal Doyle. Cathal Doyle. Philly Ryan calling for it there. In the end it comes to Paddy Andrews. Paddy Andrews again was going to be challenged and tackled hard. Cathal Doyle up into the corner to Donnacha Ryan. Donnacha Ryan now free from his duties on Con O'Callaghan for the moment there. Plays that ball across into the centre. Philly Ryan is in there. Philly Ryan can't get a shot on it. And when he did get a shot on it, it just came back off the body. That was a good opportunity for St. Brigids, but there were just so many cooler players back there in that small parallelogram. It was almost impossible to find a way through once Philly Ryan had got possession there on the edge of the small parallelogram. Luke Keating, Conor Mullally, Con O'Callaghan. Things have loosened up just at the moment. John Shannon, Con O'Callaghan calls it. Conor Mullally, they're just holding ball, and of course with St. Brigids not able to get hold of that ball, there's nothing they can do. Owen O'Callaghan involved in the move that it ends up back in the hands of Luke Tracy, David Sheeran, John Shannon, and John Shannon finds in space Conor Mullally. Good pass there from John Shannon. Conor Mullally decides that maybe that's all too tight in there, and it comes back as far as Luke Keating. Luke Keating plays it out to Cuffy-Byrne. Back to Luke Keating. Luke Keating now has a chance of going for the score from there. Surely he'll go for the score. Oh, he hits it, under hits it. And this is another opportunity for St. Brigids to go downfield. Kevin Callahan gets the pass from Jerry Troy. Mark Donnelly. Michael Conroy right there beside him. Mark Donnelly trying to get his place inside. Jerry Troy plays it back outside again to Kevin Callahan, but again you can see there's so many players in there that it's almost impossible to see where a goal can come from. They're going to go for a point if they can. That's Mark Cahill. Mark Cahill decides no, we'll lob that ball in there into Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan gets it. Mark Donnelly has a boot on it there, but again sheer weight of numbers and the strength there of Michael Fitzsimons, the 2 times All-Star, plays that ball out onto the far side, and really I think that's perhaps the best chance that St. Brigids is going to get at this stage. They're not going to get too many more chances, and 5 points is the difference between these sides at the moment. It was a case of almost all or nothing there for the moment. Diarmuid O'Flynn goes there hard. He's tackled by Owen Devitt. Now Maltai, will he get this moving, or is he going to play that ball outside? Sean Egan is out there. Sean Egan is the player who'll get them moving perhaps. Con O'Callaghan working very, very hard back now. He realises this is the time to close down all the opportunities that St. Brigids might be going to get. Oh, Jack O'Neill, he's gone forward. Philly Ryan is calling for the ball inside. Jack O'Neill might go for it himself. In the end, he does squeeze it through to Philly Ryan. Philly Ryan perhaps thinking about going for the shot. It comes off the outside of the boot there. It ends up in the 45, so it's going to be a 45 for St. Brigids. Well, full credit to St. Brigids. They're not letting this game go easily. They have worked as hard as humanly possible. They've been looking for that goal, but Cuala, realising that the game is there for their winning and their losing perhaps, they have brought all their players back, and there's just no way through. If it was a point you were looking for, yes, you could take it from distance, but it's not. They're looking for a goal as well as a point to save the game. Carlo Gillon is going off on the far side injured. That means an opportunity for Mark Tracy, another one of the Tracy brothers, to come onto the field for Cuala. Well, Kevin Callahan has decided that he might as well go forward now and be in there on the edge of the small parallelogram. Bit of pulling and dragging there. Owen O'Callaghan on Jack O'Neill. Philly Ryan is standing just there on the 13-metre line. If this ball drifts in beyond that, he'll obviously make the run. Perhaps he's thinking twice about that now, because he's gone out to a bit of a distance there. Is he being replaced at this stage? As that ball is in off the upright, is there a chance of a goal? Jerry Troy's in there. It's booted in, and it seemed to come back off another Cuala player for a 45 as well. Well, St. Brigids have been unfortunate perhaps, but they've put the pressure on. Paddy Andrews is going to take this 45 again, and once again Jack O'Neill makes the little run there for it, but he's done perhaps what he had to do, which was bring Owen O'Callaghan away from the danger area, because they've got to drift this ball in once again and hope for the best. It's gone over the crossbar, and that's one of the scores that they've needed, but it mightn't be enough. It might have been Cathal Doyle that got the final touch on that one. It's gone over the crossbar. So 4 points the difference between these sides, and that's the final whistle. St. Brigids could do nothing in the end. Cuala worked the lead, and once they had that lead, they pulled men back, and they made it very, very difficult for St. Brigids, and St. Brigids in the end did everything they possibly could, but they simply couldn't get the scores that mattered. Kevin Callahan, who had a big impact in this game, a late replacement for the injured Paddy Lysett, and that was one of the really great efforts from Philly Ryan there. He saw Philip Green coming out and he tried to chip him, almost worked. And then we had Conor Mullally working so hard, James Power in there, Conor Mullally going for the return pass, falling over as that ball was just cleared off that goal line. And we had so many incidents in the last 5 minutes where St. Brigids were just trying to get the scores. One of them was Paddy Andrews. That one was the one that came down off the upright, and Philly Ryan just couldn't make contact with it. But at the other end, important scores. Conor Mullally, he took that very well. Very assured player. Sent it over the crossbar. And while Brigids kept at it, never gave up, Paddy Andrews, one way and the other. Luke Tracy did a good job on him this afternoon too, but Paddy Andrews there just couldn't be stopped getting that point, sending it over the crossbar. That was his 5th point of the afternoon. Pedro Cuffy Byrne getting a great catch there from the kick out, and again Conor Mullally involved. Cal Dorn there getting a little pull on him, and that pull earned him the free in, which Con O'Callaghan was quite happy to send over the crossbar. And Cuala then just trying to play out the game. Niall O'Callaghan sending over a huge effort one of the better points of the entire game, that one. And then Father O'Cuffey Byrne playing it infield, Cathal O'Gillan on the end of that one, and that really was it for St. Brigids. Cuala's strength and ability to hold on to the ball was just too much for them in the end, and Father O'Cuffey Byrne, and again that one well saved there by Faker O'Mara. The shot from Niall O'Callaghan, Paddy Andrews putting the pressure on. The great opportunity there for Jerry Troy. Mal Tighe's shot again blocked out, and then Paddy Andrews drifting that ball in and flicked over the crossbar for the final score of the game, but all too late, I'm afraid, for St. Brigids. Well, the players are out there in the centre of the field still, and it's going to be Cuala that are going to make their way up to where Mick Sievers is there beside Con O'Callaghan. Con O'Callaghan and Luke Tracy are the joint captains of the Cuala side. Con on the left, Luke on the right, and Mick Sievers is the Dublin County Board chairman, ready for the presentation. And of course it's not all over for these two clubs this afternoon, because they both have other teams in action. In the Senior 2 Camogie final, Cuala are playing in Abbottstown against St. Oliver Plunketts. That's later on this afternoon, a game that's being streamed live, I believe. And as well as that, St. Brigids have their Junior 5 football team in action out in the Knoll against Clanwirra. So plenty of things to watch. I believe that's been streamed as well. So they'll be moving on to that, or indeed going over to TG Cahir to watch the Senior 1 football final between Ballymun and Ballybowden. That's been televised live this afternoon as well. 2018 was in fact the first year that Senior 2 football became an official second tier championship, as opposed to just an ordinary competition before that. Thomas Davis were the first winners. That was in 2018, and then Round Towers Lusk last year in 2019. And to add to that list then, we have Cuala for 2020, but this is the unique year of 2020. Mick Sievers just waiting for everyone to get into place. We can't quite hear what he's saying, but he has all the Cuala players down in front of him in their blue and red. The St. Brigids players down on the pitch still, as so often is the case. It's the most unpleasant place to be, perhaps, down listening to the words being directed towards the winners on an occasion like this. But there has to be a winner, there has to be a loser. No doubt. Mick Sievers thanking all those involved, including the officials, Sean McCarthy, the referee. As Con O'Callaghan and Luke Tracy lift the Senior 2 Football Championship Cup to the applause of his team. Now we won't also be able to hear Con O'Callaghan and whatever he's saying to them down there as well, but Cuala will celebrate victory for the second week in a row in Parnell Park. Last week it was victory in the Senior A Hurling Championship, a super 8th title, so it's been a great week of success for the Dalkey club. Don't forget, the Senior 1 football final still to come this afternoon. That's Ballymun Kickham's against Ballybowden St. Enda's. That's on TG Cahir at 4:30. But it's goodbye from us now from the Dubs TV team, with a reminder of the final scoreline at the end of this Senior 2 Football Championship final. Victory for Cuala. Final scoreline: Cuala 14 points, St. Brigids 10 points.